Good afternoon, watchers of The Concern. Here's a little bit about The Songs We Know Best. This book on John Ashbery's early life by Karen Rothman. On the back, there's an excerpt from But What Is the Reader to Make of This? This quote here, "It is the personal interior life that gives us something to think about. The rest is only drama," is both the epigraph for the book, I think, as well as something that is called back to at the end. Karen's done a wonderful job of constructing this book. In just 250 pages, it contains basically like a collection's worth of early poetry, maybe a chapbook's worth of early poetry. It contains many different gems that have been found in boxes of Ashbery's papers and in his diaries. There's something I'd like to get to before we go along much further. I'd just like to set these out. These swatches that I got from the paint store. I got these because they had good names, and I think that, maybe this is kind of a cheat code or something, or maybe it might inspire somebody, but these names are really kind of not just poetic and funny, but they're really varied, and you kind of get the experience of a kind of nice reading experience going through them all. Here are all of these. Downing Stone, Bungle House Gray, Quilt Gold, Restoration Ivory, Yarrow, Pure White, Relentless Olive, Juneberry, and Stop. So the one that I was using as a bookmark while I was reading this Ashbery biography was Relentless Olive. And wherever I was, I made sure to tell people that my bookmark said Relentless Olive. And I waited for them to laugh, and sometimes they did. This book you're catching a glimpse of at the edge of the screen is the Antiquarian Sticker Book. Good for adorning postcards. And one of the takeaways from this book is that, kind of like when you read Emily Dickinson, you remember that a lot of her best poems were included in letters. You think, I gotta put poems in my letters. I already do that. In short, I'm definitely gonna buy a copy of this book in paperback to own. There were a lot of things I wanted to underline in here that I didn't. And it's basically like a photo album, in addition to being a collection of poems you can't get elsewhere, like I said before. Even though there is some overlap with the stuff that's in the uncollected poems section of Poems 1956 to 1987, like Seasonal and Lost Cove, this one from Harvard that he read at graduation, and such. Like, all of these are really key parts of the story of his time in high school and college. And you can get those here, but you also get them in a different way here. You get a microscopic look at them. You get their backstory and their DNA, and you get all of his feelings about having written these poems, then not writing for stretches of time and being anxious in a way that makes him very relatable. And I think it's weird when you're reading this book because you feel like Ashbery's being made more relatable, but I mean, and relatable is such a corrupted word, kind of, but his poems already make him pretty relatable, so you don't really feel like you need to know him more, and yet you crave to know more. The book is a real page turner if you're a fan at all. Here you get a collage poem that was made by Ashbery and Schuyler in the nice facsimile like this. Okay, so what I said earlier about the line from What Is the Reader to Make of This being the epigraph is untrue. The epigraph is this couplet from The Songs We Know Best. The Songs We Know Best is from A Wave, which is also where And What Is the Reader to Make of This is from. And if you haven't read this one, I recommend it. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you write poetry, you're gonna be interested in anything that people do with forms, especially forms that you haven't been using for a long time, maybe because you felt that they were out of fashion, in whatever kind of, not disrespectful way, you thought they were out of fashion, you may like this poem. I just want to recommend that people get and read this book if they have any interest in Ashbery. I think there's going to be a 1-volume biography coming up from this author at some point, which is something to look out for. I'm really not doing justice, or it's hard to do justice in a short space of time to how well written the book is and how vivid it makes, like, the tragedies and the loves in his life and the anxieties in his life, without making them like overwrought or without making them too significant to the poetry. Like, there's no wonder like Karen Rothman was the person for this biography, because she strikes the right balance between, you know, maintaining an interest in life and maintaining like independence for the poems themselves. In this moment in the book where it was like he left the rest of the pages of the diary blank, I was kind of scared. I was like, is that it? There's no more, you know, there's no diary of 1943, but then, spoiler alert, at the start of the next one, he goes and buys a new diary. The contents of these early diaries, I think, were the thing I most enjoyed about this book, kind of by far. Karen Rothman does an amazing job of walking you through them and making you feel like you've really read his diaries, his early diaries, cover to cover and deeply, without you know, without you having to like read them cover to cover. So it's not really like painstaking. It just acquaints you in a really charming way with the contents of those early diaries. And again, I mean, that's like indispensable if you like the poems or are a poet yourself or are a diary keeper yourself. So at the risk of kind of just wasting your time here, I'm just gonna recommend it again and say that I really enjoyed it and wish everybody a happy day of reading and writing. And please let me know if you read this book or liked it, and leave a comment if you so choose. You know, send me an email if you so choose. And yeah, take care, everybody. This has been Leafy Concern.